Hello everyone, good morning. Today in this episode we're going to speak about nobility and what it takes to be a noble human being. First off, a big shout out to Evan Carmichael. Evan was someone that I met not so long ago and that really transformed the way that I see YouTube and the way that I actually create my own videos. I met him through Lewis Howes with his IC group, Inner Circle group, and we did the training about how to use and optimize YouTube channels, and it was amazing. And Carmichael is not only an amazing human being, but he is creating amazing videos of motivation, of self-confidence, and creating this sense of a great mindset. Second of all, if I do something like this for Evan, I will have to do it for Lewis Howes. Thank you very much for everything so far. You made me see reality in a different way, made me connect to people that I never thought that I would be able to connect, and it has been an amazing ride so far. So, after this introduction, I would like to start speaking then about nobility and what it takes to be a noble human being, but not only, what are the responsibilities of a noble human being. And this concept was introduced to me by my spiritual teacher, Tony Samara. And basically, it has to do with being someone that is, not better, but someone that is more conscious. And we always think about nobility as the court and the noble court and kings and queens and this sort of in a way pretense and in a way facade that many people have nowadays, especially people who are driven by their egos and driven by materialism. But this is not exactly what I mean. I mean, those people, many of them might have been with the characteristics and the specificities that I'm going to speak about today, but not necessarily. Just because people are from the noble court or the noble families doesn't mean that they're actually noble human beings. So for me, and from what I understood by what being a noble person is, which is something that I always strive to do, and there are several characteristics, and it creates a certain kind of responsibility, because then you are a responsible person for who you are and for who you want to become and for who you want to be in the world. And first of all, for me, it starts with being someone with self-awareness. And self-awareness is something that brings a lot to the equation. It's not something like, I'm just aware of my body or aware of my surroundings, but it's on a deeper level. It's an inner self-awareness. It's always being ready and open to new things, and always being open to listen to what is happening inside of ourselves, so that we are able to listen on about what's outside of ourselves. So this is for me one of the main reasons why I do this work, is not only to bring self-awareness to myself. This is why I don't stop working with coaches, with teachers, with mentors, so that more and more I'm able to create this mindset of self-awareness, but also to put it in practice many other things that are challenging for me. And this is the power of working with a mentor or a coach, which is creating this kind of challenge that allows us to have to go out of our comfort zone. The second point for me is actually kindness. It's being able to be kind not only to yourself, but to others, but also to sentient beings. Sorry, I apologize because of the motorcycle. But sentient beings and animals in general, which are so or have so much right to be in this earth than us, and because we are sort of more evolved and feeling that we are on top of the food chain, we believe sometimes that other animals don't have feelings and emotions. But guess what? Cows and sheep and goats and pigs, they all have families. They all have feelings, they all have emotions, and they suffer as much as us. It's just they cannot express it in the same way. And we have this, I would say, fantasy that we actually need to eat them in order to survive, or to have the amount of proteins, minerals and nutrients that we need in order to have a healthy body. I disagree. I have to be honest. And I've been a vegetarian for 20 years, and I'm an advocate of vegetarianism. And for me, it's just a fact. But nevertheless, it's about kindness. It's about being kind to yourself first of all, and then kind to others and sentient beings. And another thing that I think it's very, very important for a noble person, which would be the third thing, is to be honest and truthful. Again, this starts with the inner self. Starts with being honest and truthful with yourself. And once you take that step to be truthful to yourself, to be honest to yourself, you can then create that reality on the outside world and be honest and truthful with the outside world. For me, also a noble human being, and this will be my fourth sort of characteristic of a noble human being, is to or have the capacity to listen, to be simply observant, to be on the background, observing and making sure that it takes what is being said rather than what is being interpreted by the mind and by the feelings and by the emotions and by the ego. And so it's a being that is ready to listen, is a being that is ready to help instead of judge. It's a being that is happy to give a hand rather to take a hand. And the sense of listening is very, very important, and especially with people like us, coaches, it's very, very vital so that we actually understand what we are basically having to deal with, in our life. The other two things that I would like to focus on is basically the aspect of being courageous. Fear is something innate from our reptilian brain that comes up every time we are in danger. Might be a perceived danger or a real danger, but nevertheless, for me, it's about being courageous. It's about, facing the fears. It's not that the fears will be, the fears will be gone and we're going to be fearless, but we are going to be courageous to face our fears and to be discerning, most of all, that the fear that comes up is actually real or part of our imagination. And that's a very, very big part of what creates stress in our lives or what doesn't create stress. Because many times we get stressed and fearful about the future especially, or about the events that are going to happen next in our lives, because we start envisioning things that are not real. And the last thing that I would like to focus on is a noble human being for me is someone that believes in love most of all. Has this sense of love and a loving touch and a loving energy towards themselves and towards others. And I feel that, human beings that are noble for me are ones that find answer into love, which means that love is always the answer. And, again, this is just my perspective of things. This is what I try to apply in my life every day, especially the first one, self-awareness. And then, of course, being courageous, being kind, listening and finding out where love can come in to the equation so that becomes the focus rather than the fear or any other kind of feeling or emotion or even negative thought that comes from the negative bias of the brain. Thank you very much for listening. A shout out to all of you that put this already into practice, and if you don't, I will today create a small little challenge, which is put at least one of these points into practice and find out how you feel about yourself and see the reflection in other people's eyes, in other people's energy, and see how they actually mirror and reflect that energy back to you. And I can tell you, if you're kind to others, they will be kind to you. You might have a situation or another that people say, this guy is just faking it or whatever. But, be kind, and I'm sure people will be kind to you. Be loving. And what is the energy that is coming back to you? It's love. I can promise you. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow, and have an amazing, great day. Bye-bye.